Hey Mason families, I'm excited to share some positive updates as we end the month of October. So as you know, we have been looking at the data and sharing the data and the information with you for the entire pandemic. And we use that data to make important decisions. Now today we're not making a new decision. However, there's some positive data that I'd like to share with you as a community. I'd like to share three things. First, I'd like to share some information about the pilot program. Second, some encouraging data from our own Mason City Schools data. And then third, an exciting way for you to plug in and to support our community this weekend. First, you've heard us talk about the Ohio pilot that we were a part of. There were 10 schools in Warren County that led the state in this pilot to help us understand more about COVID-19 and the spread of COVID-19 in our buildings, in our classrooms. Now you remember, we were a part of a study last year with Ohio State. That study was around January timeframe. This study was very similar in its methodology. The main difference was last year's study, everyone was required to wear masks, and we were studying a 6-foot radius in the classroom. This year we moved it to a 3-foot radius, and half the schools in the study had no mask mandate, they were optional. Half the schools had a mask mandate for K-6, and so that's the difference between the two studies. However, the encouraging news is the data was very similar in both of these pilots. So about 96 to 97% of students that participate in these pilots did not get COVID-19. So let me tell you a little bit more about what that means. About 457 students participated in this program. In order to be eligible to be in the program, you had to meet some criteria. And the criteria was this: you had to be a direct contact. A direct contact was 3-foot distance from someone with a positive case for over 15 minutes without a mask and without vaccination. So that was the eligibility criteria to be in the program. Parents then had the option to opt into the program. They would test on the first day of exposure and then on days 5, 6, or 7 of that exposure. So it was a testing protocol. And as the students took those tests, about 96 to 97% of those students tested negative through that whole testing protocol. The encouraging piece for us as educators, because our main goal is to keep healthy kids in school so they're not missing in-person learning. Because when you're away in quarantine, you're away from the classroom, you're away from your teacher, and you're at home, and it puts another layer of burden on the home, especially if the students are healthy. And so when we were looking at this, 3,370 days of in-person learning were saved in a 4-week period because of this pilot program. Now, the state has used this pilot program to make some other decisions across the state, and you've heard us talk a little bit about that last week with the new quarantine guidelines, and we're encouraged by that as well. But some other encouraging information is our own data here at Mason City Schools. For the first time in a long time, we have dipped underneath 10 positive cases in our district. That is somewhere around 0.08% of our students are now reporting a positive case. That's encouraging information for us because it means that we're heading in the right direction. We also have 8 students that are currently quarantined. So if you think about that, the things that we're doing, following the data, participating in a pilot program, it's keeping our healthy kids in school, and more kids are getting that in-person learning experience that we want them to have, and less students are being quarantined unnecessarily at home. So this has been a really encouraging week for us and an encouraging data trend. Well, the last thing I'll leave you with is, it's sold out. That's kind of discouraging. You can't come to the gala. However, the encouraging piece of that and the exciting piece is you can attend virtually. And we all know how to do everything virtually now. So I expect to see lots of people join us in participating in the Mason Schools Foundation Gala this weekend, and join us. Go to the Facebook site and just jump in and watch it. It's a live feed, and you can bid on some of the wonderful things that are there and win some great prizes for your family and support our Mason kids. Well, that's all the updates we have for this week. Stay tuned and we'll give more updates in the next week or so to come.